Welcome to episode 32 of Created by Design. Thank you for joining me today. And I just have some bits and pieces to catch you up, let you know what I've been doing. It's been a little while since I've made a video, but I have been busy knitting. And it's summertime here in the Pacific Northwest, so when it's sunny and nice, we Oregonians try to get outside and do some fun things because we know that fall is beautiful here, but the rain will come and then we're going to get lots of knitting done during that season. But I have been busy knitting and on several things. You know, I like to work on a project for a little while and then maybe insert something else, and so I have done a lot of the knitted animal friends. Some of you new ones, I'll show you the book that I'm working out of. And this is the first book. And then now I'm into the second book, which I cut the books apart and actually put them in a 3-ring binder because they just become a lot easier to work with for me. And not only that, but I actually scan the pages and put them in my knit program on my iPhone and on my computer. It's Knit Companion, and it's really a great software to work with if you haven't discovered it. It's a free download. They do have an upgraded version, but I am finding that the free version works great for me. If you buy patterns off or get them off of Ravelry, they're very easy to download because it recognizes Ravelry, but I find scanning them in my little scanner that's on my phone and save them to the iCloud, then they're very easy to bring into Knit Companion program. So that's kind of how I work both between the books and my iPhone and my computer, AirMac. And so I have lots of options. If I leave the house, I always have my patterns with me, if I have my phone with me, which usually I do. So that's what I'm doing with my patterns to make them very, very portable. And one of the things that I wanted to show you today, some of you that's been watching some of my videos, and my goodness, there's a lot of you that have subscribed. And if you're watching today and you haven't subscribed, well, please subscribe, hit like if you like my episodes. And I'm just so delighted to see so many joining. It just makes it fun. I've been receiving a lot of questions. They've been great questions, and I've tried to address them as we go along. Some directly, and some I've covered in some of the tutorials that I've made. But if you've been watching, you know I've had my sister Donna on with me from time to time, and Donna does a lot with the sewing machines. Now she crochets and she knits also, but she does a lot of sewing projects, and she made herself, and I'm going to post it, the name of the designer, because this is somebody's pattern. She's taken the class for it online. I'll pull it back here so you can see. Try to tip it without dumping everything out. But this is a great caddy that I now have by my chair that I knit in all the time. It's got all kinds of little pockets. So everything that I just need to have with me all the time fits in here nicely, and I still have room to put a few more things in it. But for years I've used a drawer that's in the desk alongside of me, and my little drawer just isn't big enough anymore, and it's awkward to get into. And so I saw that she had a carrier like this. Hers has a handle, but I requested to have one that didn't have an additional handle on the side. And she likes the handle because she carries hers with her when she goes places more than what mine stays by my side most of the time. But it's wonderful because the sides have a stiffening in them, and yet it is still collapsible. And so it holds its shape, easy to get into. You know, if you have a bag that collapses, I don't like that. And so it first started out that she made me, hold it up here, this nice little yarn holder. It just is great. one or two skeins can fit in there. Same kind of stiffening, and yet I can collapse this down and put it in my purse if I wanted to, and it'll just pop right back up into shape. And it's a special kind of stiffening that she uses, and I'm gonna insert the name of the gal that designs these little containers, and the holder. There's many different shapes that she makes, but I'm finding I love this new product, and I don't change up very often. If I find something I like, I stick with it, and so I'm glad that I tried this, because this is my new friend. And so that just makes life easier when you can find your special little gadgets to, you know, use your scissors or whatever the little items are, the stitch markers and all of those things fit nice and tidy in this holder. So that's one of my new gizmos that is making my knitting life easier. So I have two of these for the yarn, and I know they make bowls that you can put your yarn in, and I was just using a metal bowl and sitting it on the floor, and you know, it keeps your yarn from flying across the floor and kind of keeps the puppy dogs out of it. But honestly, I like these. I like these soft ones. The yarn doesn't hang up on it, and I can pick it up quickly and stick it in my little carrier. So it just keeps everything nice and tidy. So I am working on one of our little wild animal friends, and I'm working on the panda. I think she's adorable, and you know, I'm gonna look it up right now. I don't know what her name is. I should be able to call her, because Marie, and I call her Crowther, but I don't think I'm pronouncing her name correctly. But she's named all of her little critters, and the panda is Maya, M-I-A, and I think her clothes are adorable. I made the dress that the pattern calls for in here, and it is really a sweet little dress with a lot of detail. There's stripes at the top, and then kind of a eyelet design. I'll show you that in the little dress part, and then this coat. And I changed up the coat only a little bit in that I did some detail. I put some detail on the coat that was not in the pattern, and you know, those things are optional. I just thought this little back flap that opens up, these buttons don't open, but I just thought it needed a little detail at the back of the coat, so I slapped some buttons on there. And then I still thought the coat was a little plain, and so I did this little detail. It's French knots with just a little single stitch, see if you can see that, to replicate a leaf. And I didn't try to make them all the same shape and in the same order. I did the little green leaf randomly. And actually that yarn is a variegated yarn that I used for that. And I think that's one of the things I love about these patterns after you've made several of these critters, and I think I'm right at about 20 now that I've made. You just find ways of your own that you can change them up, put your own personality in, and just kind of make them, you know, to your liking, and bring out your own personality. I think the designer has made such beautiful patterns, but it's fun to be able to put your own little touches on them. And so I still have shoes to make for her feet. I'm going to make her, I believe, a little hat or a little headband. And I'll post pictures about that when I get it done, but I just think she could use a fancy little hat. Okay, so besides the little hat or headband, I need to make little knickers for our little girl, and I'm into those right now. I've got them going into the softer blue, and so she'll have a little pair of knickers on, and we always need to have our knickers on, don't we? So that's what I'm working on here. So that will pretty well finish up this little girl. And that'll be kind of fun. I think, like I said, I think this is maybe number 20, 19 or 20. But I'm also, I've had a number of people ask me if I would sell. And I really haven't been interested in selling them, but my couch is getting full of these little critters, and I'm producing them faster than I'm getting great grandchildren. So I'm thinking, like, what can I do with my little critters to bless other people with? And our church has quite a large food pantry. In fact, one of the biggest ones around in our area, and I think we last month served about 1,000 families, and it takes a lot to make that happen. And so I thought, I think maybe I'm going to offer one of my little critters for sale periodically. And I don't know, my little panda girl may be the first one that I offer for sale. And then I've been snooping around to see what, they sell for. And, if you've sold any of yours, I'd love to know what kind of a price. I have jokingly said the reason why I don't sell them is because most people would not want to pay for what we have our time and money just even in the yarn anymore. It adds up. And so I think for a fundraiser, I'm going to ask about $275 to $300. I did go on Etsy, and I saw, I don't remember which little critter it was, but it was $250. And I would sell and donate the money to the food pantry for that. So that's what I'm considering to do, and that's a really big step for me. To not from the standpoint of parting with them, but actually putting a price tag on them, because I think, wow, that's a lot of money, and it is. But when you consider your time, and I want to make as much as I can for the food pantry, so we'll see. And that's here in Washington County, in Oregon. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you posted as to what actually happens with that adventure. But it would go to an excellent cause. So I also would be curious to know if you've done something like that, and was it successful in the way of selling and donating, or just selling for your own benefit. Nothing wrong with that. But I would be curious about what kind of a price if you have sold some. I think lots of people would buy them at $50, but that's silly. Well, it's silly in my book. So then on to another project. I want to show you what I've done in the last few weeks. I've made this cute little cell phone holder. And I know there's cell phone holders out there, but I just thought it would be fun to have one. I love to do Fair Isle. This is a Alice Starmore pattern out of one of her books. The design is anyhow of the pattern within the pattern within the pattern. The actual pattern for the cell phone holder came from Kat Bordhi. Now Kat Bordhi is very, very well known sock knitter, and she's written several books, and I've learned so much from her about knitting socks. She since has actually passed away within the last 2 years, and I learned so much from her books. This is a terrific basic book, and she created the sweet tomato heel that you've maybe heard me talk about in the past. Well, family, I guess it was family, discovered after she passed away a lot of designs that she had for these cell phone holders. And when I go outside, I'm in the yard, or if I just want to run into the store and I don't want to take my whole purse with me, I have found I love my little cell phone holder, and I can slip a little credit card down in there and not have to take
everything in my purse with me. So I have used this so much. I knitted it out of wool, Jameson and Smith and Jameson Shetland Island wool, and because I love working with it, especially with the Fair Isle. And so this was fun. Kat Bordhi described in one of her writings that this basically, is the top of a sock. So she has all these many designs, and she put the family or someone put them together, found them after she had passed away. And there's a book online. I think you can find it on Ravelry. And so I downloaded some designs. There's several different ideas about how to make these. So that's one little project that I did, and I just have really enjoyed that. One other item I've been working on is back here. You can see my Bohus Stickning. I don't think I'm saying it actually correct, but from Sweden design. I'm making it out of cashmere, not the Angora that truly would make it an authentic Bohus Stickning sweater. But all of this is done, like some of these rows have 5 different colors on them. So Fair Isle, you only have 2 colors in any given row. So in this form of knitting, they're using purl stitches along with knit stitches. And I did my own colorway because I could not find in the cashmere colors that actually matched up totally with what they call for in their pattern book. So I've worked on this sweater at different times, and I just finished up the front panels, and now all I have left to do are the sleeves. But once I got the front panels all done, I realized it wasn't as I wanted it a little bit longer. So I took the back and the front panels apart and just unraveled the band and knitted a little more length, sewed it all together, the side seams, because this is made in separate pieces. And I sewed up the side seam, picked up all these stitches, had live stitches that I put on my needle, and so the band is totally knitted in the round. So that was super easy to do. But I think maybe this next week now I will get the sleeves done, and then my sweater will be done. A little blocking to do on it, buttons to sew on it, and I'll have it ready for this fall. So I've been working on this. I've done several of my little knitted friends while I've been working on that. So I work on the sweater for a while, and then I go and I knit one of our critters. And speaking of the critters, when I start one, I just continue working on it till it's all done. I don't like to leave them in bits and pieces. And I know we all work in different ways, and that's okay. For me, I like to get it all done. And I knit the body first, and then I knit the clothing and just kind of fit the clothing to it as I go. Sometimes I follow the patterns to the T, and sometimes I change them up a bit. But I never change the head up. I always do the head, other than how it's sewn or knitted onto the body. That part I've changed up. You've watched other videos and you know how I do that. But so I work on a critter, work on a sweater or some other project, and then maybe make another critter. And so now, as soon as I get the shoes done and the little French knickers and the little hat or headband, then I'll go back and finish up my sweater. So that's what's happening there. And the last thing I want to share about, I'm really terrified and yet very excited at the same time. I reached out to the Knitted Animal Friends Facebook group that I belong to, and if you haven't found them and would like to join, it's a great group. I think there's close to maybe 4,500 people on the Facebook group. It's just a great place to see what other people are doing. certainly they post a lot of pictures, get a lot of fun ideas, and I've belonged to that group now for a little over a year, and I just would encourage you, if you're making our little critters, that's a fun place to connect with. Well, I'm starting a Zoom group, and I'm going to have the very first Zoom group on Wednesday, August the 31st at 4 o'clock. And I have room for maybe 2 more people. We're keeping it small because I want it to be an interactive group, and that's Pacific Coast time, the 4 o'clock. There's a number of people in the UK that would like to have a group, and oh my goodness, there's a gal in Australia, someone from India. This has just been so fascinating to me once I tossed the idea out there. But I want to keep, and I might have more than one group because of the time zone changes. So, but this first one is Pacific time, 4 o'clock. And like I say, I have room for maybe 1 or 2 more people because I want to keep it right around 10 or 11 people, because I want everybody to have an opportunity to ask questions. I want to find out what you're doing with your critters, share ideas, and just have a chance to get to know people. So if you're interested and you're watching this on YouTube, message me. I'll watch for any messages that you leave on this episode, and we might be able to get you in if that time frame works. I'm thinking it'll run for maybe about an hour and a half, no more than 2 hours, but I do want it to be interactive. I'm not coming with this is what we're going to do today. This is a lesson. It will be about getting to know people, have opportunity to ask questions if you're having an issue with something, with maybe how to do certain stitches or just ideas about yarn in general for the critters. So that's happening, and I'm really excited about it, but it feels like a really huge step for me at the same time. So I might, like I say, have more than one group, but we're going to start out with just a smaller group to begin with, because I know if we get too big, then we won't be able to interact. But I will be recording them and posting them here on my YouTube site. So even if you can't join us at that time frame, it won't be live, but it will be recorded and then posted as soon as the group, our time is up. We'll post so you can at least hear and see what the group is about. So that's pretty exciting for me because that's a whole new adventure, and I have to figure out Zoom meeting and how to make all of that happen. And fortunately, my daughter Carrie is going to come and help with that, especially the first few times. So that's got you all caught up. I'm looking around to see if I missed anything. I don't think I have. I hope you all are having a good summer wherever you are watching this from, and be safe and enjoy your knitting, and look forward to hearing from some of you. You've been very, very kind, very gracious, and so thank you for the words of encouragement from all of you. Bye now, and we'll see you next episode. Thanks for watching.